Alrighty, we are finally up and running. Alrighty, boys. Well, you wanted me, let's be honest. You wanted me to talk about your fantasy teams, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Going to try to run through all of the FIDD leagues in the coming days, couple weeks. May not get to all of them. May just get to the people who are the loudest and most active on the Discord. We'll see. But anyway, we're going to start with the original FIDD-F1. We're going to look at our defending champion Alex's team as it stands right now. We'll look at 24's team, and we're going to look at Riish's team despite his protests because, Luke, I have to do more trades. What's wrong with you and your giant forehead? Don't care, Riish. We're going to look at your team right now. And then it'll be useful to compare your future team when you've masterfully pulled off 30 trades in the next calendar month. It'll be interesting to look back at what you started with. Anyway, all right, so starting off, looking at Alex's team, we're going to look at Alex's team as the defending champ. And normally when you have a defending champ, especially in a dynasty league, typically that roster is going to have a fair amount of inertia going into the following year. That might be a little bit long in the tooth, an older roster, but they're generally pretty solid favorites to be, at least the Final Four again the next year. I really don't know that that's the case with Alex's team going into 2024, honestly. So obviously the defining moment of this team's season in 2024 was a trade that turned out to be a bludgeoning, a heist on 24, who we'll get to here in a little bit, where he pulled C.J. Stroud, James Conner, 24's 2025 first and third round picks in exchange for Joe Burrow and Kenneth Walker. I mean, Burrow and Kenneth Walker probably wouldn't even pull C.J. Stroud by himself at this point. So this trade is a defining one for Alex's roster going into 2024, quite possibly beyond. But so Stroud's lovely, but losing Joe Burrow and Kenneth Walker does hurt. I mean, James Conner is still a useful player, still a good player, but we can't really see beyond 2024 in terms of what his fantasy usefulness is going to look like. I don't know that we can even see all the way to 2024 in terms of what he's really going to bring to the table. The Cardinals are absolutely going to add a running back in the draft. So anyway, looking over what he has on hand right now, we have to assume he just won the championship. Although, again, you look at his roster, his wide receiver one was a combination of Riish and Cooper Kupp. It's amazing that he was able to pull this off. You have to assume that he's going to try and win it again in 2024, not blow it up. So he's got Stroud, so that's huge, obviously. He's got Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley. I actually really like this duo. I know that Saquon is trapped in New York. We think, he is an unrestricted free agent. He's trapped in New York right now. That's not great, but very few running backs can boast the kind of grip on all three downs that Barkley can. It's like him, Brees, Christian McCaffrey, not many other dudes out there. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, you'd rather be grabbing Jonathan Taylor now, like trading for him now as like kind of a buy low, than owning him for what Alex and a lot of other Jonathan Taylor owners own him for. But just got the contract. Colts offense is looking up. So this as your top two running backs I like. Would be nice to still have Kenneth Walker, but I digress. James Conner as your RB3 is perfectly solid. Zeke is a whatever. He was a nice little boon for Alex coming down the stretch in 2023, but who knows what happens with Zeke. He's not really useful. Sanders is a disaster. Crossing your fingers that a new coaching staff maybe breathes some life and some value back into him. Could happen. He does have a fairly large contract. Who knows? Justice Hill's an unrestricted free agent, so who knows what happens with him. It's not looking good. Elijah Mitchell, I mean, he's whatever. Should trade him to the Christian McCaffrey owner. I think Sanj has him in this league. So running back, losing Kenneth Walker for James Conner. I mean, it's not a devastating blow, but it definitely thinned his depth there. At wide receiver, he it's not great at wide receiver for this team. Riish has obviously been a nice boon for many teams that drafted him, and he definitely saved Alex's bacon in the second half of the season, really even before that. In this league, But is Rice a true like wide receiver one going into 2024? I don't think you can say that. There's a lot of speculating that the Chiefs could add, a legitimate wide receiver in the draft or free agency or whatever. I don't see that happening, but I mean they did sign Juju Smith-Schuster and MVS just a couple off seasons ago. MVS is a glaring cut candidate, so they're gonna add somebody. Whether it's somebody that would actually be like a problem for Riish Rice in terms of his counting stats, who knows? But Riish Rice is going to have company in this receiver core in 2024, and it could be legitimate company. It can't get any less legitimate than what it was in 2023. So the circumstances that enabled Rice to kind of take over probably don't repeat in 2024, I don't think. Kupp, kind of like with Taylor, I'd love to. I'm into him as a buy low, but Alex didn't get to buy low on him. So he owns Jonathan Taylor for more than he's worth right now. He owns Kupp for more than he's worth right now. He owns McLaurin for more than he's worth right now. So the receivers are not great, and after that, does it get much better? I mean, Lockett's not bad. Tyler Lockett as your wide receiver 4 is manageable. A lot of people say they think he's not going to be back in 2024. I think he will be, just because there's no cap savings for the Seahawks to move on from him. Maybe they trade him. I mean, there's an outside chance of that, but I think he's going to have one more season in Seattle, so JSN owners got to sit and wait. Josh Reynolds is an unrestricted free agent. I mean, Booty is whatever. He's a true lottery ticket. Mike Williams, I'm not expecting much coming off of the ACL, even though it was early season. He's a big, lumbering, like Amari Cooper type receiver. So, yeah, I would imagine that he has more of like a Michael Gallup type recovery than Adrian Peterson. Jalen Hyatt, I'm not holding that much hope for in 2024. Trey Tucker, whatever. So after McLaurin as the 3 and Lockett as the 4, his receivers are, I mean, whatever. The difference between his wide receiver 1 and his wide receiver 4 is just not that big. He doesn't have a true wide receiver 1. So that's an issue. And he doesn't, we'll get to it here in a minute, but he doesn't really have the ammunition to do a lot about that. But obviously the elephant in the room is that he doesn't have a real quarterback too. He's got Jake Browning, who's an exclusive rights free agent for the Bengals. He's going to be very likely going to be back in Cincinnati, backing up Burrow. So maybe trade him to 24 to give him a little insurance on Burrow. Sean Clifford, whatever, is nothing. Joe Flacco, nobody knows what's going to happen there. I mean, maybe he re-signs and is Deshaun Watson's backup and patiently waits for Deshaun to force the Browns to bench him. Could happen. Obviously you want to hang on to Flacco in case that does look like it's going to start to play out. Trey Lance, I mean, yeah, whatever, disaster pick. Sam Howell, it does not look good for Sam Howell. There is a chance that the Commanders, rather than plunking their early pick down on like Drake May, there's a chance that they turn it into more draft capital to replenish like the defensive line that they just ripped apart, trading Chase Young and Montez Sweat away. It's a possibility. It's not likely, but given the fact that Howell was decent until the latter stages of the season, basically the Miami game, where the locker room just rolled over and died, the whole team rolled over and died, everybody just kind of gave up and went home because everyone knew Ron Rivera was done and the show was over. It's possible. He needs the new GM and whoever the new coach is to come in and take a shine to him right away. Is that likely to happen? No, but it could happen. He was actually pretty decent in 2023, so that's his best case to having his best shot at having a quarterback 2 in house. And I don't think you can bank on that. And between Browning, Flacco, and Howell, you've got just kind of high-ish upside lottery tickets, but nothing that I think you can count on. He has to do something at quarterback. I mean, this roster as it stands, like running back is solid, but you could argue it's not spectacular. Stroud is a great piece. I mean, that trade alone kind of saves this roster in the short term. But the receivers are not great. Like, you can't go into the season not having a legitimate second quarterback on this team. This team is teetering on the edge of being worth tearing down. Because I mean, yeah, C.J. Stroud. Everyone and their mother wants C.J. Stroud right now. There's no better time to sell C.J. Stroud and get just an ungodly return on him than right now. So I think that's a real consideration for a roster like this. The bench has some interesting pieces, and I mean, Alex is a big Vikings fan, so he's huge on Jaron Hall. Whatever. Tanner Hudson. Tanner Hudson had a nice little run in the sun for the Bengals, but he's a nobody. Musgrave is all right. The Kyle Pitts trade, I don't know about the Pitts trade. I mean, and I'm a big Kyle Pitts believer and all that, and I get that, Musgrave was really your only thing close to a long-term plan at tight end prior to the Pitts trade, but Downs and a second-round pick that you kind of needed to go and roll the dice on Kyle Pitts, I don't like that trade. I like the player. Forest for the trees, I didn't like the move. So the problem here, obviously, is that Alex sends away his 2. He sent away his 1 to Sanj for Sam Howell. So he is really, he has nothing in the 2024 draft, which is a nice draft to have picks in. So he's just really, he's underpowered in terms of his ability to do anything about this roster. So, I mean, he's going to have to sit on his hands and just pray that Sam Howell finds his way back to the starting job, or Joe Flacco takes over early for Watson in Cleveland, that he resigns in Cleveland, that he doesn't just retire. So you can do that, or start really cutting off some flesh to go and make some shit happen. Find a way to trade Tyler Lockett. Find a way to trade Terry McLaurin. He's talking about trading Cooper Kupp, but he's not talking seriously enough about it. So it's a fork in the road here. I mean, this team shouldn't have won a championship. It's not going to win another one as it stands. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So that's the question: is what is this team? What is this team going to do, Alex? That's what you have to decide here. All right. So going from there on to 24. 24 hilariously always has the youngest team in the league, and F1 is no exception. Average roster age of 24.4 years old, which is almost, I mean, it's frankly almost mathematically impossible to have a team that young. You can't have any players even close to 30. So kudos, 24, I guess. All right, so 24's done a bunch of trades. Obviously, he does the Stroud trade and kind of gets his brains blown all over the wall on that one. But I really liked. I'm pretty partial to his trade with Jared, where he brings in Justin Herbert and Breece Hall, sends away Lamar and I don't know, Travis Etienne or something. I like that trade personally. But anyway, let's look at the roster as it stands right now. He gets Downs from Alex in that crazy three-teamer. All right, so in terms of his ability to compete in 2024, let's start there. So he's got Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. That's obviously, if it's not elite, it's very close to elite, and it's well within the range where one or both those guys could just exceed our expectations for them for 2024 slightly, and it winds up being the best or the second best 1-2 punch at quarterback in the league. He has nothing at quarterback beyond that, so he is very sensitive to injury going into the draft. He does have a first. He got Ben's first, which is the 9 overall. So that could be a quarterback if he wants it to be. There should be a quarterback rattling around back there. I don't know if it'll be a quarterback that he especially likes. But yeah. All right. So at running back, he's got Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall, young, high talent players on questionable offenses in flux. So there's a lot of upside to these two guys. There's a big degree of potential, near future outcomes as well. So, I mean, we love the players. We don't super love the situations. Yes, Breece had a great finish to 2023 despite, quarterback disaster, offensive line disaster. Let's not pretend that Breece Hall is so good that the Jets offense couldn't sink him in 2024 if Rodgers were to be bad or were to get re-injured. All right, so after that, it doesn't look like 24 has a lot going on at running back. I like Spiller. Spiller is like the top running back that's actually under contract for the Chargers going into 2024. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he at least starts the season off as, part of a 50-50 split or better. But he really doesn't have much beyond that, I don't think. He's got nothing. Muhammad Ibrahim is a cut, 24th. That guy's he's I'm not sure he's even a Craig Reynolds level commodity. So yeah, you can stop kidding yourself. So he's very thin at receiver. He's got no viable third quarterback. So he's got pieces, but he's got no depth at those positions. Olave, London, Pickens, I love unabashedly, unequivocally. Reed as the wide receiver 4, Downs as the 5. I mean, that's pretty damn solid. So the receivers are great. Josh Palmer is the 6. There's a scenario where Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are gone in LA in 2024. And Josh Palmer's not. He will be there. So Josh Palmer as your 6 or your 7 with Dotson. I mean, he's got receivers. 24 has got receiver figured out. He probably has the deepest receiver core in the entire F1. So nicely done at receiver there. Mims as the 8. I mean, God, he's good at receiver. He's very good at wide receiver. So that's lovely. I'll be surprised if that's not the best receiver group in the league. I mean, that's insane. At tight end, he doesn't have. It's the polar opposite. I think he has one tight. Do you have one tight end on your roster? 24, you maniac! Damn you, 24. Okay, so his one tight end is Pat Freiermuth. Who likes Pat Freiermuth right now? I mean, yeah, sure, he had the one big game after they fire the offensive coordinator, disappears again right away, and with Pickens, they're not strictly diametrically opposed, but are they both going to get fed? I don't see that happening, unless the Steelers somehow bring in like a legit offensive coordinator, and they haven't done that in many, many years. So tight end I would say his tight end situation is a disaster. It's not even just bad or tentative. It's a disaster. I would say you effectively don't have a tight end. Would be the mindset I would go into the draft with. So I don't know what you were thinking as far as quarterback or running back. I would be trying to turn this 1-9 into the Brock Bowers pick, were I you, 24, because that's your most glaring need for sure. Yeah. So I mean, he's got the receivers to cover for a lot of deficiency, to paper over depth issues at running back. He could even super flex one in a pinch and probably, for 2, 3, 4 games at a time, and be all right. But he's very shallow at running back and quarterback, and tight end is an embarrassment. Your tight end situation is terrible. 24. You're not my son anymore. 24. I'm pretty ashamed. So he trades his one. I don't remember what he traded his one for. It was some insane, but probably to get Joe Burrow, or I don't know what the hell happened. He traded his native one, which is a shame because it would have been a top 5 pick, but he gets Ben's one for something. I don't remember what the hell he sent to Ben. So he's got the 1-9. He's got Alex's limp 212. He's got Gibbs's limp 311. He does still have his native third, so at least there's that. So he's scattered all over the board. I mean, he just needs to take pot. He needs to swing on one of the kind of mid-rangey quarterbacks, I would say, in the late first. I don't know. I mean, again, Herbert Burrow is lovely, but they both got hurt at various times in 2024, and you have none of these guys figure to start a game in 2024. Mac Jones maybe. So that's just not a good. That's not a. You can withstand that, but you don't want that. You don't want to just settle for that out of the gate. So go get a quarterback of some sort, and maybe you go try to get Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy or something at that 9 slot, and then definitely you got to do something at running back and tight end. So knowing you should be taking some like high upside swings on cheap running backs in trade, and maybe tight ends too in trade actually. I don't know what you would really offer. You kind of need to hang on to these picks. Keep an open mind. 24, I guess, is what I would say. Keep an open mind to quarterback, running back, and tight end possibilities. It's unfortunate that you don't need receiver at all, because this is a good class to need receiver in, but that is the last thing you need. So if your first round pick is a wide receiver, we're going to make fun of you, because it will be an admission that you have a problem. You are a wide receiver-aholic. And we're going to look into an intervention for you, 24. And we're going to tell your parents. And God knows what they'll do to you. All right, so moving on to Riish. So Riish told me not to do his team tonight, so therefore I'm doing his team tonight. And this is the last time we'll ever talk about Riish's team, no matter how many trades he makes and no matter how funny they are. So, take that, Riish. Don't talk about my forehead ever again. All right, so here's Riish's team. And Riish's team, Riish better make some trades, because Riish is perched right on the precipice, right on the edge of disaster with this team as it stands. Oh, Riish says F. Pickens. Tremendous fantasy football IQ, as always, Riish. Wonderful. All right, so Riish acquired almost every fantasy-relevant Philadelphia Eagle last year. He got Hurts, I believe, in a trading up or down or sideways, whatever the hell, in the startup. And then he traded for A.J. Brown from one of the guys we kicked out. I don't remember. Did he draft Devontae or did he trade for him? Drafted Devontae a little early, 3-1. He's got Goddard. Who cares? I don't really care how he got him. So he gets all the Eagles, and then as the Eagles collapse toward the end of the season, so does his team. Riish winds up collapsing almost all the way to the first overall pick, except he had traded his first away, and then I intervened and gave him his native first back, but also manipulated it away from being the Caleb pick in the spirit of something like fairness, bringing us to now. All right, so obviously Riish has a problem. His main problem being that he's just addicted to trades, and he will keep doing trades regardless of whether it helps his team or not, which is how he got into a situation where he does have some really nice pieces, okay? Riish, if you're listening, you have some really nice pieces. Jalen Hurts is still undeniably a very nice blue chip piece in fantasy football, so you've got that going for you. His price is down right now quite a bit. Yes, sure. It can obviously rebound very quickly, very sharply. I think that it will. So hopefully you don't go full scorched earth with your Eagles and ship Jalen and A.J. Brown for friggin' Anthony Richardson or something crazy that you would do. You would do that, Riish. You got to know yourself. All right, so you've got Hurts. That's lovely. You don't have dick else at quarterback. I mean, this is an embarrassment. You've got Aiden O'Connell, who might start week 1, but I would say he's on the wrong side of like a 50-50 shot to do that. You've got that, and that's it. I mean, Malik Willis, Tyrod Taylor, they got single-digit starts in the NFL left between them. So you got nothing going on at quarterback. Stetson Bennett is a waste of a roster spot. He's nobody. So that's not great. Obviously, you're in a similar situation to Alex in that regard. Riish's running backs remain the funniest thing I've ever seen. When I broke down laughing and coughing to the point of being unable to speak on whatever, recent YouTube, his number 2 running back was Royce Freeman. He already cut him! Riish, why did you cut Royce Freeman? He was your second best running back, you psychopath. Now Royce Freeman is gone? No Royce for Riish. Oh my God. Okay, so now all he's got is Ty J. Spears, 34-year-old Latavius Murray. I don't know that he's going to be part of your 2028 championship roster there, Riish. I'm going with a bold prediction. He's got Trey Sermon, who is nobody, and he only has him because Trey Sermon was briefly an Eagle and now is like an honorary Eagle playing for Shane Steichen in Indianapolis. That's the only reason he even knows who he is. So he's got absolutely nothing at running back. It's hilarious, which is fine, except Riish has given no indication that he's not intending to compete in 2024. So knowing that, like just even allowing that information to be out there in the air for people to know, Riish, you're putting it in our heads to rake you over the coals on running backs and trade talks because you want to compete in 2020. You don't want to lose it. You don't want to have a bottom 2 finish again in 2024. So we know you have to get running backs from somebody, and you haven't done it yet. So that's dangerous. You do have the picks. We'll get to the picks here in a bit to do something about it. Obviously, running backs are free with purchase of value meal in this year's rookie draft. So you've got that going for you. I'll give you that. This is a good situation. Your situation is as good as it gets for needing to get a lot of running backs quickly. But you do need to get a lot of running backs quickly one way or another. All right, so A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Puka Nacua, T. Higgins, I mean, that's tremendous. It's not as deep as 24's ridiculous army of wide receivers, but the top end is better, obviously, than 24's top 4 receivers. So that's great. Kincaid and Njoku, well, you're trading. You have a trade that's about to go finalize, sending Kincaid away. So great. So you've got Njoku and Goddard at tight end, which is still solid. You know, Kincaid was your best tight end from a dynasty perspective, but Njoku Goddard is old. It's an older tandem, but obviously Njoku had a crazy season. Njoku with Deshaun Watson coming back, I mean, we'll see. I don't think there's no putting Njoku back in the box completely, but Njoku was the best fantasy version of himself he's ever been with Flacco, and now he's not going to have Flacco anymore. So that sucks. But, I mean, obviously, 24 has Pat Freiermuth and nothing else, so you got a better tight end situation than him by miles. So that's great. Your bench is a real disaster. And this is really the problem. This is probably the biggest problem that I think you're facing going into 2024, Riish, is that you have almost no useful depth on this roster. Like, Iashivas, maybe. I know there's some buzz for him to, like, step up post T. Higgins and, with Tyler Boyd leaving, it's possible. But a lot of mocks have the Bengals taking a wide receiver in the first round, or at least in the first couple rounds. So at this point, I would still assume he's going to be like a career special teamer and depth guy before I'm willing to say that he's going to be even remotely fantasy relevant in 2024. It's a long shot. I mean, Trey Sermon, Malik Willis, these are guys that you hold on to because there's nothing else. There's nothing better on the waiver wire. There's nothing more usable on the waiver wire. Renfro, yeah, I mean, I just don't see it, man. He's fallen off so hard. Dortch. If Dortch were an unrestricted free agent, I'd kind of like him because I feel like somebody might give him a shot. But he's still an exclusive rights free agent, so he's trapped with the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are definitely drafting a receiver, might be MHJ. So if they draft MHJ, if they were to re-sign like Hollywood, like Dortch is just going to be frozen out again. KJO is an unrestricted free agent, so that's not bad. Bateman is still stuck in Baltimore for another year, so that sucks. Rondale Moore, I don't think it's going to happen. He's now a holdover from a previous front office. Yeah. Alec Pierce, I think he's all cardio team, and I think then a lot of people, again, have the Colts drafting wide receiver early. So I think Pierce is screwed. Josh Oliver's nobody, obviously. Bobo's nobody. Vaughn's nobody. So, yeah, I mean, you're already struggling to get enough to have a lineup full of usable bodies, and you're trading away Kincaid. So you do have draft picks. You've put yourself in a position, Riish, where you have to hit on most of these draft picks, and to compete in 2024, which again is clearly the goal that you're telegraphing to the league, to yourself. You have to hit on guys that are productive right away as rookies. That's actually hard to do. Okay, to hit on guys that are good long term, which obviously is your goal, but also good right away. JSN wasn't good right away. We still like JSN. He was terrible early on. Like, it's actually not that straightforward. So you put yourself in a position where you need to hit on these draft picks. Maybe you will. Okay, you're not an idiot. I know you're not an idiot. You probably will get some good guys with some of these picks, but you considering the state of your roster and how top heavy it is, I mean, you have like 5 great players, and then the bottom falls out of your roster completely. So I feel like you're a little bit obsessed with finding like the best possible players at every position. And you've done some of that. I mean, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, they're very close to the best players in fantasy at their positions. But you need to start to focus on like hitting nice solid ground rule doubles and getting like mid-range guys that are not CJ Stroud and friggin', the shiny new toy in dynasty football, but are nice solid value pieces that you can put into your lineup most of the season, all season long. And yeah. So yeah, that's you need bodies, you need usable bodies. You have a lot of dead bodies on this roster, and as many draft picks as you have a lot of draft picks. You're about to send a couple away, and you have more depth issues than you have draft picks to do something about them with. So yeah, so good luck. It'll be interesting to see how you fill out this roster because it needs filling. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up on this one for now. I don't want it to be a mile long. Oh, Riish is lighting me up in the live chat. He says wide receiver in the top 10 picks at 1.7 is crazy value. In another class, he's top 3, 5, whatever. I already said Riish says he's not competing in 2024. Okay, well, that's interesting to already be out on competing in 2024 after. Yeah, okay. Well, Riish is not competing in 2024. Okay, so then he doesn't need to get running backs, and I don't know what he is doing, but he's not competing. So my mistake for thinking Riish would try to win in 2024. All right, well, that's the end of this stream. Do another stream about some more stuff, talk it up, talk about it, Cool. Bye.